Hello everyone, welcome back to this video series on Introduction to R Programming for Clinical SAS Programmers. In this series, we are exploring SAS programming feature alternatives in R Tidyverse package. In this video, we will see how to add new variables to an existing dataset. Let's say we have this input data set in which there are two variables, u subj id and age, and there are three rows, one for 1001, 1002 and 1003, and in the age variable we have age values like 35, 64 and 19. Let's say we want to add two new variables to this data set. One is called age mon and the second one is called group. So age mon is created as like by multiplying 12 to the age value present in age variable. So which is 35 multiplied by 12, 64 multiplied by 12, 19 multiplied by 12. And then I want to create a second variable called group by manually assigning a value of 1 to this variable called group. So how do we do it in SAS? So let's say if this dataset is called as DM dataset, we read the existing dataset using set statement and we specify that on the set statement as the input dataset as DM. And then we are creating a new dataset as DM02. In this, I am creating a new variable called age mon by multiplying 12 to the value of age value. So it works like this. On each row, it multiplies 12 to the value present on that row in age variable and then assigns the resulting value to the age mon variable. And then I wanted to create this group variable. On all the rows, I wanted the value of 1. So I'm simply assigning the value of 1 to the group variable. So this is how you can create new variables in SAS. So how do we do it in R? So in tidyverse package, we have something called as mutate function. So mutate function is used for adding new variables to existing data sets. So the syntax for mutate function is that the first argument is that you need to specify the name of the input data set to which you want to add some new variables. So followed by the new variables that you want to create, and each of the group you need to separate it with a comma. So in the first instance, so we were interested in creating a variable called age mon. So by multiplying 12 to the age variable. So we are doing that here. So the first variable age mon gets created with the product of 12 and age. And then for the assignment of 1 to the group variable, we are just assigning the value of 1 to the group variable. So we are using is equal to sign in between. So this is how you can add new variables to existing datasets using R code. So let us now see a little complex example wherein we want to employ some conditional logic to create new variables. So here I want to create a variable called age group 1. So if the value of age is in between 20 and less than 60 years, I want that to be labeled to appear as 20 to less than 60 years. Else if the age is greater than or is equal to 60 years, I want the label of greater than or is equal to 60 years. Otherwise, if age is less than 20, I want to assign the label of less than 20 years. So how do we do it in SAS first? So we can make use of if then else logic to create these variables. So I am checking if age less than 20, then age group 1 is equal to less than 20 years. Else if 20 less than or is equal to age less than 60. So 20 to all the way till 60, excluding 60. So I am using less than 60. Then I am assigning the label of 20 to less than 60 years. And then else if age is greater than or is equal to 60, I am assigning the text of greater than or is equal to 60. Again in R, so in the tidyverse package, in order to create new variables, we know that we need to use mutate function. But we are interested in checking this additional feature of case when within the mutate function. So the first argument for mutate function is the name of the input dataset. Here in this case, it is DM. And then we are creating age group 1 variable. So age group 1 is equal to, so equivalent to this if then else is case when within the mutate function. So case when, so we are checking if age is greater than or is equal to 60, and then we are assigning the label of greater than or is equal to 60 years. So the condition followed by the value that has to be assigned to the age group 1 variable is separated with a tilde sign in between. So this tilde sign separates the condition and the resulting value that has to be assigned. So here, in order to check if the age is in between 20 and 60, so I am making use of between function. So between, the first argument is the variable that which we want to check for, and the second argument is the lower limit, and the third argument is the upper limit. So assuming that the age value will only be in integers, so any value in between 20 and 59 inclusive will have a value of 20 to less than 60 years assigned. And then if age is less than 20, so we are assigning the text of less than 20 years. So this is how we can create a little more complex variables using the same mutate function to add new variables. So now let us move on to the demo. So let us now keep the code side by side for both R and SAS. So I have placed the code here. So I have my input data set created. So let us now open DM and see. So I have 3 observations and 2 variables, subjd and age here. So now let us try to create new variable called age month and group. So as seen in the first slide of this presentation. So let us try to execute this code to create a dataset named dm02 in which we are creating age month and group variables. So let us execute that code and open dm02. So now 2 new variables got created. First one is age mon, so which is the result of an arithmetic operation of multiplication of 12 to the age variable, and the second instance, so simply a value of 1 is assigned to the group variable. So in all the rows the value remained the same. So let's see how to do that here in SAS. So let me clear my existing environment datasets. So I am creating this dataset, input dataset DM. So this has 3 observations and 2 variables. They are subjd and age. So now if we come back to this step dm02, I am using mutate function specifying that I am using dm dataset as input and then creating the statements that creates new variables. So age month is created by multiplying 12 to the age variable and a value of 1 is assigned to the group variable. So let us execute this piece of code and then see. So now I have my DM dataset created. If you see 3 observations of 4 variables. So let us open this dataset and see. So now we have age month created and group created. So let us close this and then see the second instance, like wherein we were creating a little more complex variable using conditional logic. So let us try to execute this piece of code and now see. So here I am creating dm02. It should have one new variable called age group 1 to the existing subjd and age variables. So here I have subjd, age, and a new variable called age group 1 being created with the logic specified. So now let us try to execute the same thing in R. So before that, let's read the syntax once again. So we are making use of mutate function, specifying that DM dataset has to be used as input and creating a variable named age group 1 using case when logic. So case when logic works as like if the syntax of all the conditions gets evaluated until something fails. So here if age is greater than or is equal to 60, then the value of greater than or is equal to 60 years is being assigned. So one thing to note is that condition on the left hand side and the value that has to be assigned are separated by tilde sign, not by the is equal to sign. So and then we are checking if the age value is in between 20 and 59 and then assigning the value of 20 to less than 60, and then else if age is less than 20, so we are assigning the label of less than 20 years. So case when is being used to create the variable conditionally. So let us run this code and then see our DM02 now. So now the previous DM02 is now overwritten. So earlier it had, like when we created this, it had 4 variables. The new variables were age mon and age, but here now it's only one new variable, age group 1. So we have age group 1 created. So this is how we can use mutate function to create new variables in R. Thank you for watching and keep learning.